Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Bigger Pie Forum podcast. This is part of an ongoing series on brain drain in Mississippi. That is, are we keeping our young people so that we can grow our population and ensure the prosperity of our future? We appreciate those who tuned in to our last episode. It was a great conversation, so we thought, what the heck, let's keep it going. My name is Rebecca Staples. I am from Jones County, a lifelong Mississippian, and I am delighted that Bigger Pie Forum has allowed me to host this podcast again. I'd love to start off quickly today with some introductions. I think at least one of these faces will be familiar to most of you watching or listening, and then we'll introduce a couple of new faces. So I want to start first with our Secretary of State, Mr. Michael Watson.
Yeah, thanks. Great having a chance to talk about what we're going to be talking about. I don't want to ruin and spoil the topic here, but I appreciate you having us on and look forward to visiting.
Great.
And my name is Elena Magliola. I'm from Marshall County originally, and I serve as the Communications Coordinator for the Secretary of State's office.
Great.
My name's Hattie Heindel, a recent graduate of Clinton High School. I'll be attending Ole Miss in the fall.
Go Rebs.
Howdy toddy.
Sorry.
Howdy toddy. Good luck in the
College World
NCAA
Series. Here we go.
tournament.
That's right. Omaha.
That's right.
Omaha, as we say.
All right. Well, look, I want to start with you, Mr. Secretary. And no disrespect, but since this is a casual conversation, I'd love to refer to you as Michael,
That's
if
perfect.
that's all right.
Love it. Yeah. That's what Mom says.
Now, you are not quite as young as you were when we first met all those years ago.
That's right.
But you've had many opportunities. And so on the topic of staying in Mississippi as a young person who had a lot of other options, could you tell us a little bit about your background, your journey, and ultimately why you're here in Mississippi?
Yeah, so as many folks know, from Pascagoula, grew up there, and my dad was a pipe fitter at Ingalls, and so he worked in the yard out there as so many Pascagoulans do, and what a great place. My mom was a bank teller and then worked at a elementary school as an assistant to the principal. So we grew up in Pascagoula, didn't have a ton of money. It was a very, as you well know, blue-collar town, and so we grew up working hard. That's what we were taught. And my dad went from there into the ministry. And so kind of another lesson drilled in your head. You love God and serve others. And so that's really those two components is kind of what built me to who I am now. Work hard and love God and help others. So growing up through the legislature, as we were able to work together then and through the Secretary of State's office, I think it's always just been for me a love for Mississippi. You grow up on the coast and fishing and hunting and loving the great things that we have here, the natural resources, the people, the opportunities. And I think that's one of the, I will highlight that piece here in a minute, opportunities. Too many times I just think we don't believe in ourselves and we hear this national narrative that beats down on us. And so one of my missions has always been, how do we bring some confidence to ourselves to believe in Mississippi, but to also share that with others who are growing up, like Hattie, and we'll talk about this in a minute, to where they understand, gosh, there are opportunities here. And I finally got somebody who's going to be an advocate on my behalf to help me get to those opportunities. And really quickly, as an aside, when I was in Pascagoula, we were in our gifted class. And so we did this little program where we brought in professionals to our class. And so I remember one day, a guy named Jimmy Calmer came in, and he was, his grandfather was the congressman. So, but he was an attorney, a real live attorney. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is, a real live attorney coming here and spending time with us. And I just remember how magical it was that somebody of importance would come spend time with me in my 6th grade class. And that really kind of drove home the idea of if you ever get anywhere where you can pour back into others, you better do it because people did it for you. And that's kind of what led to where we are today. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But look, again, I think it's important for us to talk about the great things that are happening here for our young people, leaders like Hattie that have plugged in, that are aspiring to do great things in our state, and then make sure that we give them every opportunity possible to succeed.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Hattie, you've gotten your name dropped a few times there. So tell us a little bit about yourself and recent graduate from Clinton.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us a little bit more. And you don't have to call me ma'am. You're making me feel old. So.
Yeah, I also forgot to say I was a part of the Secretary of State Student Ambassador program. That's why I'm here. Yeah, I've just been super blessed with all the things I've been able to do with DYW and Hobie, Secretary of State now.
And can you tell us, so DYW is?
Distinguished Young Woman. I was Distinguished Young Woman of Hinds County for 2026.
Oh, congratulations.
She's a star.
Yeah.
That's why I name drop.
Hey, wow. Okay, and royalty here. And then Hobie.
Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Conference.
Okay.
I did that after my sophomore year. And so I've been able to be around a lot of people my age who want to, do well for the state and have that future mentality already. And I think so many of us, have that idea of like things that are going on right now don't really pertain to us. But a big thing that this program really helped me understand too is someone said the decisions that we're making now are going to impact us the longest. So why not go ahead and, be thinking about how we can help and what we can do.
So. Oh, I love that. The decisions now will impact the younger folks, the youth, as I call y'all, the longest. That's great. That's great. Elena, speak to us a little bit. Marshall County, Jackson. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes. So I spent my whole life, my entire childhood in Byhalia, Mississippi. And so I was homeschooled there all the way K through 12th grade. And then I came down here to Mississippi College, or Mississippi Christian now, as we would say it. And so during my junior year of college, I started an internship with the Secretary of State's office in our Communications and Publications division. And that was over 3 years ago now. And then I was able to transition into a full-time role in our Communications division right after graduation. And so now I've been with our office now for just over 2 years.
Yeah, just had our anniversary here.
Yes, last week, 2-year anniversary.
Wow,
so,
okay, congrats.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I want to ask y'all, so Michael, you mentioned the impact of seeing sort of a VIP, a professional in the community that cared about you and your future. What's y'all's experience? You have a statewide elected official who, I know you, very approachable. It's not always typical that you see someone elected at the state level that does pour into the younger generation. So I'm just curious what your experience is with both mentors, both in the state at the Jackson level and in your local home.
Well, I know for me, especially growing up and everything, I always knew that I wanted to go into state government, public service somehow. I just wasn't exactly sure what that was going to look like, whether it was going to look like law school or going up to Capitol Hill. I just was kind of trying to figure that out throughout middle and high school. And I think one of the biggest challenges, I guess I was thinking about all during grade school was, well, how do you get involved into it? Because, politics, I feel like sometimes does get that bad rap of like, politicians, they're hard to approach, hard to break into the industry, et cetera, with, getting involved in that network, because it truly is about who you know. And everything. And so I think that's one thing, coming down to MC, a couple friends recommended the Secretary of State's office to me as a great place to intern. And I remember we had a milk and cookies with Secretary Watson where he sat down. We had milk and cookies. It's a tradition in our office. And I just remember just being overwhelmed at how easy it was to talk to Secretary Watson. And I'm not just saying that because he's sitting right here. I genuinely do mean that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so refreshing to be able to sit down with one of our top statewide elected officials and just share our stories. I was still a college student at the time trying to figure out where I wanted to go, and just knowing the support that the Secretary of State's office was there to give me and everything, and also Secretary Watson asking me, like, what do you want to do after college, et cetera. And so just having that peace and comfort of knowing that it is easy to go up to people and talk to people and share your story and ask for advice and everything, I think was something that I've really just come to really appreciate about our office and everything. So,
and if you had not had that experience, do you think you would still be in Mississippi, or what were your
Good
long-term
question.
plans?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think every aspiring student, who is thinking about politics, I think Washington, D.C. obviously is the first thought I think that comes to mind. I've always thought it would be so cool to go up to Capitol Hill and say, you work on the Hill. And my mom always joked, she said, you would be a great White House press secretary. I don't know about that, but she used to joke with me about that. But I will say definitely coming down to MC and getting this internship experience and starting to network with people around in the Jackson area, that was just never something that I really tapped into when I was up in Marshall County. And obviously you've got DeSoto County down the street. industry. And so there were so many opportunities there, but I think it really took me coming to college, starting my communication major, to really discover that this is my passion and everything. And I will say, my time at MC, my time as an intern with our office really did make me realize my passion for wanting to stay in Mississippi. Just because I realized, I'm like, there's so much here. There's like, why would I want to leave this state when there's so many opportunities and everything? And so now, definitely, I mean, I'm planning to stay in Mississippi. So
she's plugged in.
Yes,
yes. I love it. It warms my heart. And Hattie, I do want to get to you, but I think some context might be important first. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about the Ambassador program within your office?
Yes.
And why you felt it was important to, pilot such an initiative?
I was trying to be secretive, and Hattie let it out of the bag. So we'll go right into the Ambassador program. It's interesting. It came out of actually a visit with the Girls State program. The 8 elected officials come to Jackson every year to meet with Secretary of State, meets with me, the governor. Well, this one year, I was the only statewide in town this day. So all 8 came to my office. And about an hour and a half later, I knew a whole lot about teenage girls and what was going on in their lives, which was good for me as a girl dad to learn from them.
And you had 3 girls.
3 little girls.
Okay.
I say little girls. Yeah. They're getting big now, 15, 13, and about to be 8 next week. So we got a house full of a lot of fun. But that said, in that visit with those young leaders, it hit me. Look, here's our future. What do we do to get them engaged in elections? Because it's so very important. A lot of folks just kind of, in this day and age, kind of look past elections. Oh my gosh, they don't matter. My vote doesn't count. We got to change that. So how do you change that? You change that by leaders in the next generation and making them understand the importance of it. So we got all of them to do voter registration drives in their schools. I thought, man, that was really cool. And then sitting down with our team, thinking about how do we make this even bigger? Out comes ambassadors. And so for us, it was, look, we want to get our high school leaders engaged in the office, meet them, understand what's important to them, and basically teach them 3 things. Number 1, elections. Why do they matter? Why are they important? What should I know about them? And all of them go do voter registration drives. Number 2, what do they need to know about state government to interact? If there's something that's important to them that they want to advocate on behalf of, where do you even start? Is it municipal? Is it county? Is it state? Is it federal? So we teach them about how government works and get them a good understanding of that. And number 3, and this is going back to Jimmy Calmer, the piece about people pouring into your life, it's a mentorship. How do I make them understand they matter, they're important, the things that they want to see in Mississippi that we can do policy-wise that would draw them back to our state if they leave? And then also the piece of, let's introduce them to CEOs around the state, to other elected officials, so they know there is so much out there in Mississippi. We don't just talk about it. We actually show them the people that they can meet and talk to. And in our last in-person summit, had a really cool female CEO type question and answer. And these are ladies that are just crushing it around our state. And so for these young leaders like Hattie to see them and not just see them, but get to talk to them, get to meet them, gosh, she may be working for one day, or one of them may be working for her one day.
Yeah.
But to see that and then to inspire that next generation of you can do it right here in Mississippi has been one of the most important things for us. So it's, again, election, state government, and then how do I pour into them to make their lives better?
Yeah. Well, and
so that's it.
As you're talking, I think, that generational change. Mm-hmm. So it's not only about the current youth, but also if you're in power, then you will empower your own families. Mm-hmm. But that's a great overview. So Hattie, tell us about the Ambassador program. What drew you to it? I understand there may be some criteria. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so actually my uncle was the one who told me to apply. And I honestly didn't really know what I was getting into, but I was like, sure, why not? And there was an essay we had to write, recommendation letters. It was a while ago now. I can't remember all that I had to do. But
GPA requirement.
Okay, yes.
Okay, what kind of essay? Like why I want to be an ambassador? Or was there a topic you selected?
Yeah, so the prompt was like,
discuss the Mississippi brain drain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about
there
that?
you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. I'll have to get a copy of that essay.
Yes. Yeah. And then I think a teacher recommendation, another recommendation. And then once I got there, our in-person summits, we had 3. I couldn't attend the one in December, and then every month we had Zoom meetings with different speakers and just, getting to ask some questions and all sorts of cool things like that. And then at the summits, we got to meet all the other ambassadors and just sit alongside them and talk to them and be encouraged by them. So it was really cool.
Yeah. So did you feel, you said encouraged by them. Was that a good experience? You see like-minded peers. You don't feel isolated, not suggesting that you do, but I just wondered, that was very uplifting for you?
Yeah, it was so cool just to be around, people my age who have that want and desire to, impact others and just make it better. So it was just really cool to be at that table.
Yeah. When others who aren't in the program are familiar with it, when they've asked you about it or you've talked about it, what is their general reaction? Do they understand? I'm just curious.
A lot of them don't really know what it means. They're like, what does that mean that you're a student ambassador for a Secretary of State? Yeah, I just kind of explained to them all that I've got to do. And, here I am technically graduated from the program, but still getting cool opportunities like this. So,
yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Basically from ambassadorship to celebrity. So, yeah. Well,
it's good stuff.
I love that. And I think we're hearing this theme of mentorship, influencing behavior. One thing that y'all have all kind of talked about, data supports the idea that networking is a big driver of migration trends, career, and sort of social dynamics. So tell me, in the ambassador program, who is someone or individuals that stood out that you may not have otherwise been able to meet?
Yeah, so Liz Flowers and Emma Kate Beckham, those are two of my good friends now. We actually all three were just at FCA camp and we were serving as leaders, so it was really cool to see them again. But their heart just for all that they do and their drive to meet others and just encourage them, they were such an encouragement to me. So those are two of my girls for sure.
I want to interject there. I think that's one of the most important pieces of it, that they get to meet these other leaders around the state. I remember when I was coming up, going to Boise State, and there are folks that I met there that are in leadership positions now. And so I think the cool part about making those relationships early in life and the expectation that not only you have, but you have for them, we can kind of help each other rise. And I think that's the cool part about, another cool part about the ambassador program is the relationships that you make and where it's going to take you, that teamwork that we try to drill in their heads.
Yeah, no, I love that. Elena, you talked about opportunities and sort of maybe not tapping into that network in Marshall County, but down here, as you're calling it, kind of understanding more of the opportunities, familiarity with maybe Capitol Hill. These are my words. Sounds sexy, but state government's a bit more, your cup of tea. What kind of opportunities did you not know existed until you were in this environment?
Well, for one thing, I did not know that opportunities like this program existed, which is so ironic considering that I now work with this program every single day. But I will say, obviously this program did not exist at the time when I was in high school because we're going into our 5th year now. But I feel like just everything that this program offers, the things that we've been able to give y'all as far as opportunities, connect y'all with people. I would have loved something like this when I was in high school as a high school senior, because this would have been right up my alley. I would have been the one, calling the office being like, when is the application going live? I would love to be part of something like that. And so that's just been something that has just been so rewarding for me personally. Obviously, that's not the only responsibility I have at the Secretary of State's office, but ever since I have been able to work with this program, just seeing, getting to bring together all of these students from all over the state and just seeing them come together and learn about leadership, because they are our next generation. And so it's just so cool to me to see that and to be able to promote that and talk about that when I go places and say, hey, we have this amazing program here at the office. And that's why, going into our 5th year, I feel like we're only becoming more and more well-known around the state as a program that does go the extra mile, and it gives them the opportunities that they need to be our next, who knows, CEO, maybe our next governor of the state. Who knows? And so that's just something that's been really, really cool to witness and to be a part of. So just the fact that I get to interact with these students on a weekly basis. I'm the one who sends them the emails every week and, bothers them with all of the things, but it's all in good nature because, we're planning our events together. And so just getting to spend all this time with them and get to know them over the months is really, really special to me.
I think one of the cool things too, and Hattie, obviously going places you may want her autograph, but 341 students now have come through. And I remember the first year was 56 and then 67, and it started growing. Now we cap it at 75. And this year we had to increase the GPA number to 3.5 because so many people are starting to hear about it. We're getting so many applications.
Wow.
That's a really cool part because people are starting to understand, well, what exactly is this? I want to be part of this. I was on Ole Miss campus probably 2 or 3 months ago, and kid just comes sprinting across the circle, and he says, "Hey, Secretary Watson, I was one of your ambassadors." And I love it when they come and interact. And then, how you doing? What's going on in life? What's next for you? And who can I introduce you to? We had one that wanted to be in sports broadcasting, and I reached out to Coach Yo at Ole Miss and said, "Hey, do you have a spot where this person can maybe learn some communications on the women's basketball team?" And sure enough, it's opportunities like that I never had that. So it's really cool for me to now plug our young leaders into these opportunities where, oh my gosh, who knows where they go from there? Hopefully, again, it's back to Mississippi, but it's giving those opportunities to them that they understand there is more here than just what the national media tries to tell you.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I do think the ambassadors have sort of permeated the state. A few weeks ago, I was at Mississippi University for Women at a leadership program.
I remember.
And one of the projects was focused on voter registration, early voting, absentee. We communicated, and it turns out at least one of the girls on the group was a former ambassador. And so, Allie, if you're watching, shout out. Yep. But I thought that, what are the chances? But 341 have come through the program. That's amazing.
Really cool.
But speaking of young leaders, so one theory I've always had about Mississippi, you kind of hear like, we're a big club. But we've got a limited population, 3 million. And so I've always thought because it's a small sort of, many people know each other, younger people can have more influence here than perhaps in other states or areas. And so I'd like for each of y'all to tell me if that's your experience so far. Michael, let's start with you because I think this is right. 3-time senator and in your second term as Secretary of State.
True.
I don't want to date you, but I think you got started pretty young.
A few years ago. I do remember being young and the way that it kind of unfolded for me. Obviously, in 5th grade is when the Lord kind of put in my heart public service. But looking back now, because of the small town atmosphere and the way that you get to meet people, I was working at a law firm in high school, and 2 of the partners, one of them was very close to Trent Lott, and the other one was very close to Dr. Kayat. And so when I went to Ole Miss, I went straight to the chancellor's office and had a job because that partner knew Dr. Kayat. And the other one obviously impacted me via fraternity life at Ole Miss, and then clearly interning for Senator Trent Lott in D.C. And so it is a really cool benefit if you take advantage of it. If you, like Hattie, get involved in these programs and you meet folks that then, I know so-and-so and I can connect you with so-and-so. And it's just the relationship piece. And so I do think you have an advantage in Mississippi because, it is this club and we all want what's best for each other. I think that cuts across party lines, that cuts across any kind of line that you can imagine in Mississippi. We want what's better for our children, for our young leaders. And so when you have those opportunities, hopefully people like Hattie take advantage of them, and then we're about to watch her career take off.
All right, Hattie.
I know, so much pressure.
You got to respond to that,
Oh my goodness.
Tell us. Yeah. Tell us about your leadership experiences.
Yeah. Where to start?
Start with your uncle.
Okay, so my uncle, Michael Heindel, he's the president of Northwest Community College. And so he's been a big, advocate for me and just pushing me to do all these things. Because everyone always says that, they see a lot of me or him and me, which...
Is that a good or bad thing?
Jury's still out. We'll see.
It's pretty good, I think.
I guess he's successful. No, he's great. And so just having that example of, someone in my family who has kind of navigated this before is really cool and encouraging. And then just, at the high school and Clinton community alone, it's just so encouraging and so cool and easy to kind of find those roles. I've been able to serve as, president of this club and that club and just different community service projects, and kind of help in that way. So just really cool to see all the opportunities I've had. It's 18 years in Clinton. So
wow, okay.
All 18.
Let me ask you a question. So you mentioned earlier this Distinguished Young Women program. Can you explain a little bit about what that is and if that helped prepare you at all for the Ambassador program? I imagine there's some overlapping elements there.
So it's a scholarship program or opportunity where you compete at or participate in a local, so it's like your county, and you do there's a talent, scholastic, interview, and fitness portion, and so you different percentages of all that, and so I ended up winning the title of Hinds County, and then after that you go participate at State and Meridian in the summer. And it was like one of my first opportunities to be, you're kind of just pushed into a room of girls, you have no clue who they are. And you're with them for a week. You don't have your phone. You're staying at a host family's house. And it's just a really cool, amazing group of students and women who get to, have best friends now because of that. And so that's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
and then, same thing for this, because when we walked into the summit, they were like, all right, students sit here, parents sit there. So you were already sitting at a table with people you didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I'd already kind of been in that environment. So that was already encouraging.
Yeah. So you were a little more comfortable with the unknown. Okay.
There's a veteran over there.
Hattie the veteran.
Oh,
That's
goodness.
right.
Okay. Elena, tell me a little bit. Has that been your experience, leadership at a young age?
It has definitely. And really just to echo what Secretary Watson said, Mississippi, I've learned, it really is one big small town because you're constantly running into people people you knew from childhood. I'm running into people down here, who are from Marshall County, DeSoto County as well. It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since elementary school. But it really, truly is. And I think that is why it's played a big factor in me deciding to stay in Mississippi, just because we do watch out for each other. Obviously, relationships are everything, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're in politics, whether you're in the medical field or running your own business or whatever. Building those relationships and just establishing a good rapport with people wherever you go is so important. And so I think that's really kind of what cultivated my passion for public service. And one leadership involvement I do have to mention, shout out to my First Baptist Jackson church family. At the same time that I was interning with the Secretary of State's office, I also had the opportunity to serve as a youth intern at FBJ's student ministry, so 7th through 12th graders and everything. And so I had the opportunity to serve there as an intern for 3 years. So pretty much the entire time I was at MC, I was also working in the student ministry. So everything from summer camp and super summer to leading a weekly D group with youth girls and everything. And just establishing those relationships, talking to the students and everything really did prepare me so much for the work that I do now as a communications professional. And little did I know that I was going to end up helping run the Student Ambassador program, which I feel like has so much overlap with my work in student ministry. One of our student ambassadors this past year, Mary Lamar Shoes, shout out to her. She was actually one of my youth girls. And I first met her when she was in 7th grade in our student ministry. And then she ended up applying for the student ambassador program. And so it was a really, really cool when the worlds collide sort of thing. But,
by the way, her dad was Sigma Nu with me at Ole Miss.
I did know
and
that.
her mom was a Coyote Ole Miss. We graduated together. So it's funny now seeing my college friends' kids come through our program.
kind of like, oh,
yeah,
gosh.
full circle.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very small world. But yeah, and so another side story on that note, I remember my first or second week as an intern, it was the first year of the Student Ambassador program. We had our spring summit. I think we hosted it at the Woolfolk building that year. And I remember Liz telling me, hey, we've got a big event the next day. We kind of need you to be a runner for everything. And so I just remember going back and forth and, running random errands, helping out with that event. I remember actually delivering the Junior Secretary of State certificate for Aaliyah Hudson, who is crushing it
Superstar.
now. I remember taking her certificate, bringing it to the event because she had just won her election for our first Junior Secretary of State. And so it has been a really, really cool full circle moment to see where we've come since the last 3 years and everything, and now getting to
Liz
be
Flowers
a big
this
part
year?
of this program.
Yeah. She mentioned Liz earlier.
Yeah.
She was her.
So
Well, that's amazing. And so this concept of service is already being generated. Like you've got the ambassador program, you're working on it, you're contributing. And so one of the things in our previous podcast was the idea you're never too young to reinvest in others. So I appreciate all that y'all are doing. Okay, we've talked a lot about service, ambassador, we're talking brain drain, little few personal preference questions. Okay, I want to know, what is your favorite thing about Mississippi? If you were trying to attract someone your own age to come live here who doesn't, what would you say? I'm going to start with you, Hattie.
I mean, the food is pretty good. That's a big thing. We have like some people who live or in like other states and then come back and they're like, oh, sweet tea. I'm like, yes, sweet tea. I mean, that in of itself, that would get me to come back.
Yeah.
But for me, community is a big thing. And my family is all here. So that's kind of why I would be like, come on.
Okay. All right. Elena?
Well, I'm not stealing Hattie's answer, I promise, but I would really echo the small town community feel, because I know I already mentioned this, but just growing up to where you know people, and like you go into town, you go to the grocery store, you run into 5 people you know and everything. That is just something that's so warm and comforting about Mississippi. I mean, that is why we're called the hospitality state, I think. And so that is another thing, when I was thinking about, do I want to leave Mississippi or not? I could never be a big city girl. And that is one thing that I've discovered growing up is I just love the small town community. I love how nice everybody is here, and just truly how we do, how we really are the hospitality state. Because when people come in, we're like, oh my gosh, here, let me take you to this and like see this and all of that. And so definitely the small town community of that. So
Okay. Michael?
I literally was thinking there's a reason why we're called the hospitality state when they were talking
sorry
there.
about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Mind meld over
Yeah, that's
here.
right. That's
Yeah.
what we do. For me, I think when you look back growing up, just the opportunities I had as a young child and young man in college, and when I look at my peers now and understanding the affordability of Mississippi is huge, and in our lives, want to own a home, you want to have a family, you want to be able to build something that you can leave for your family, and those opportunities exist here. And I think a lot of times we forget that. I was talking to a young student from Ole Miss the other day. Same example here. Basically, he was from Florida, and he said, one of the great things about Mississippi that I don't think people talk about enough is the affordability. If I went back to Florida right now, there's no way I could buy a home. But I'm about to put a down payment on a house here in Mississippi with my first job because it's affordable. And it's something that we can do. And I think for a lot of us, that's a major story right now that we should be talking about, and we'll continue to talk about. But you also look at for me, I'm an outdoor guy, hunting and fishing. Oh my gosh, you just don't get any better in Mississippi. So it's those opportunities, it's the affordability, it's the safe communities that we have. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to the hospitality state, it's just who we are. We love each other. At the end of the day, I don't care, again, what part you're in, what part of the state you're in. You've probably heard me tell this before, but when I was campaigning for Secretary of State, I was up in North Mississippi, and those people didn't know who I was. And, here's this backsliding coast kid, coast rat. Coast trash, yeah. And Lauren had to sing at a wedding that weekend. She was in Nashville, so I had all 3 girls by myself, including Corbeth, who was in diapers. And so I get through speaking, and Gracie Pierce, the oldest, hands me Corbeth, and I smell something. And she had her way with her diaper, or whatever you want to say. And so I remember cutting through the crowd on the campaign, getting out to my car, and just this panic that sets in when you realize you don't have any wipes. And so there was a grandfather who was coming out, and he noticed what was going on, and he said, hey, I keep a pack of these in my truck, and handed them to me. And then while I'm changing a diaper, he jets across the street and gets a brand new pack of wipes and brings them to me. This guy didn't know me from Adam. But that's who we are as Mississippians. We see somebody in trouble, and it's just a dirty diaper. I get it. But he went and helped. And that is all over this state. And so I love that part about who we are, and to be able to experience it in such a kind of a small way. But still, that story is Mississippi.
Yeah, but that is emblematic. And speaking of the coast, although this affected the entire state and region, But, we really saw that 20 years ago with Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, we did.
And, I will never forget Governor Haley Barbour at the time, talked about crisis revealing character, not creating it.
Agreed.
And I think that's what Mississippi is, where we are a bunch of characters, but with a lot of
Especially
character.
A great one.
That's true. So, okay, I want to ask about amenities, and this is for the youth. Do you find that Mississippi offers you, where you live, the kind of sort of lifestyle, restaurants, extracurricular activities? You can say yes, no. Is there improvement? What do you think?
I mean, so for me, my dad, he's a professional drummer, and so he is involved with the New Stage Theater. And so I've grown up going to those shows, and they have, people come in from LA and New York. And so just that culture aspect is amazing to be so close. I mean, food, great, yes. Concert music, yes. So, I mean, I think so. I think, I think overall there's plenty to do.
Yeah, okay.
Well, obviously growing up right outside DeSoto County, I know one thing. I don't get to go home super often, but every time I go back, there are 2-3 new buildings all over the place. And so that was obviously happening when I was living there, but I didn't notice it as much because I was there every day. But yeah, that, and now I live in Madison County. And so obviously business is booming there like crazy. I mean, like Top Golf is just one of the many examples and everything. But yeah, it's just amazing. And obviously that's going back into all the big economic development that we're seeing booming across the state. But yeah, it's just been so cool to see how much has gone up even in the last 5-10 years and everything. So definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback again, and she stole Top Golf from me. She's getting good at this. But I think one of the cool things that we talk about when we talk about economic development, it isn't just about, do we bring this big company? What is that company going to, maybe reintroduce to the community? How are they going to invest their dollars across this state to make it a better place to live and a better place to work and worship? And so one of the cool things about us is we talk about our ambassador program and Top Golf. That was the 98th Top Golf in the U.S. There's a reason why they chose Mississippi. And then you look at this morning. This morning I was at Little Floors Bluff and the new project that's going on out there.
Yeah.
It can't be just about bringing a new business. It all has to be centered around the community. How do we bring this extracurricular life that the folks want? To raise a family, you got to have things to do. Well, now we're going to have this really cool development out at LaFleur's Bluff and Top Golf, and you name it. The food scene around here is absolutely incredible. You got folks like Eddie Cotton and others in the music scene that are unbelievable. So Mississippi, we are so primed right now to do really, really good things. And I think, again, it's bringing that attention back to our young folks. You don't have to leave. It's all right here.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're saying this, both as a current statewide elected and as someone who has announced your candidacy for another statewide position, Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah.
I have heard you talk about this as a priority for your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing it in the Secretary of State's office. I'm curious I know you might be a little bit biased here, so I'm recognizing that, but do you feel that in your daily life, are you hearing from leaders, whether it's the state level, local, do you feel like you matter? Do you feel that people want you to stay here? I know one person you're hearing it from, but how prevalent is that?
I definitely think it's more prevalent here in Mississippi than perhaps some other states, just because, again, going back to the small town community, a lot of the legislators up in DeSoto and Marshall County, I knew when I was younger and everything, and so that's a cool connection there. But I do feel that more in Mississippi, just because, again, I do think Mississippi politicians do care more. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Secretary Watson does very much, but I do feel that there is a bigger sense of we're going to do the right thing and that we do want to serve the people of Mississippi more, because we are the ones that are putting you guys in office. And so I do think that a lot of them do have a good sense of responsibility of knowing that I'm here for the people. I'm not just here to, go to Jackson during session and collect the paycheck and go home, that they are there to serve us and to look out for the best needs of their constituents. So I do think that Mississippi does stand out in that regard. So.
I mean, just ditto. I think, she's pretty much said everything. But I think that now, just because I've, been involved with this, like I see their want and need more. I don't know if I necessarily felt like, you had older state governors or whatever come up to you and were like, hey, you should stay in Mississippi. Yeah. And here's why. But now it's just a really awesome narrative that I'm getting to hear and be a part of. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll offer my opinion. I think we need more leaders talking about this issue, but that's just my unsolicited opinion. I want to ask, this might be a little personal, but what is your experience in Mississippi? Are you single? Are you dating? Is this something, because this matters as we're trying to attract people, keep people, hopefully have a bunch of babies, grow our population, drive that economy. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your dating experiences.
This is great.
I'm currently single. I'm excited to go to Ole Miss and Oxford and have, meet some new guys. No, I am single, but there are great guys. There's plenty. I think I'll find my person, whether that's at Ole Miss or where I go after. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay.
Good answer.
I'm also single. I'm unfortunately did not fall into the ring by spring population at MC.
MRS degree.
Yes, I unfortunately was not for that. Honestly, I was too busy working. I was too busy. I was either at the church, I was at the office, in class, all of that. And not saying that those other people didn't study. It's just I'm saying
we're hearing what you're saying.
But yes, but I do think that kind of where I am right now has been really, really freeing and independent in the fact that I have been able to pour a lot of time into work and be able to just do all of these different opportunities that I've had during my short amount of time in state government. So obviously I want to stay here. I want to get married, raise a family, have my kids stay here too, hopefully, and then, retire, grow old together. But, all in good time, right?
Yeah. So. Well, I should put a plug in here for retirees who may be listening. Mississippi does not tax retirement income, so
solid.
And phasing out the income tax. So.
By the way, I've been dating the same girl for 18 years now.
I was going to say, tell us your
married
story.
And 3 little girls. Lauren, we're both pastors' kids, and it's a pretty cool thing. We talk about how we both saved a couple of people from a lot of trouble marrying preachers' kids. But she's just fantastic. She is all that's right about this world. And having somebody like that that's strong-willed, independent thinking, but also understands as a marriage, as a partner, that she's got to challenge me too to get better. And she's really good at that. Obviously traveling the state as a statewide elected official is hard. A lot of times she feels like a single mom. And I get that, but she is one of the things I loved about Lauren was I saw my mom in her and the way that my mom loved on me and my sister and just expected that from her. And gosh, has she delivered. Just a wonderful mom to our children. And she's tough and she's fantastic. So that's my story over the last 18 years.
Oh, and I believe you lost your mom.
We did.
Maybe right as you were becoming Secretary of State. So that's really great to see, that continue.
Speaking of Lauren, so my mom passed away on July 31st in 2019, right before I walked on the stage at the Neshoba County Fair. So we thought we were losing her on the Sunday, but she rallied, as a lot of times folks do. Mm-hmm. She had early onset Alzheimer's, and so I was not going to go. I wasn't speaking. And my dad and my sister were like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest political event. The election's coming. You have to go. She would want you there. And so I went. And it was a tough day. And I remember the ladies from Neshoba County that always come and pray for the speakers before they go up. I don't know that I've ever felt a peace like I felt when they were praying for me. And so my mom literally passed away when I was getting on the stage. And so I got off, got the phone call, and I was talking to Lauren a little bit later, and she said, you know what? I prayed that your mom would see you give that speech. And it was really cool. But to have a wife that thinks about little things like that, going back to my wife, and then my mom was from Winston County, right up the road. So it was cool that I was speaking in her backyard.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible experience. But yeah, lost my mom, and my biggest cheerleader always believed in me. And I remember, waving signs and knocking on doors and doing everything that she could possibly do to help me in my first Senate election. But yeah, I don't know how we got there, but.
Well, she made sure that you knew you mattered. You're making sure these folks and others know they matter.
That's right.
May the circle be unbroken here.
That's right. Good stuff.
Well, look, as we're wrapping up, I just want to give you all one more opportunity. If you wanted to give one or two sentences on any topic you'd like, but I'd like for it to be about Mississippi for our listeners or viewers. And Hattie, I'm starting with you.
Well, I mean, it's a great state. I'm happy to have lived here all 18 years. And as someone who I did originally want to go out of state for college, and now the Lord had a different plan, but I'm excited to see what that means and what I get to do, and just, network and everything. And the people here are great. So can't wait to see what all I get to do.
All right.
I mean, again, echoing what she said, I would just say don't underestimate Mississippi, because I also was thinking about leaving. And obviously, from the beginning, I said, God, if that's not your plan for me, please show me. But I guess as someone who spent most of their years in grade school up until about high school, when I decided I think I do want to stay in Mississippi, just be open to it and dive in, get involved sooner than I did, and everything. And like I said, just be open and just be willing and open to whatever God has in store for you, and listen to him. If he's telling you to stay here in Mississippi, even if it's move from North Mississippi to Central Mississippi for college and then stay down here, but, staying in Mississippi and just doing what God has called you to do. So
because we are headed to the College World Series, there is a phrase that's often mentioned, don't let the Rebs get hot. And the Rebs are apparently hot right now, so they're headed to the College World Series. What I would tell people is don't let Mississippi get hot. And we are literally on the verge of even better things. When I look at the legislature dealing with the tax structure, when I look at our office cutting the regulations, we are literally seeing Mississippi in the conversation now that they never could be in. With our education, with the things that we've been doing, we are primed and ready to literally take the roof off this place. And I'm so excited about it. And just to be a small part of that, seeing people like Hattie that are coming along and future leaders that are going to be running this place. Sorry, I picked on you again, but I'm so proud of our ambassadors. Since this is what the program was about.
Yeah.
All the things that they bring to the table, and they're starting to believe in Mississippi like I do. That's the cool part. And again, I think we're primed and ready for our best days.
Man, I feel inspired. I'm so glad to hear this, and thank y'all for coming on. I do want to make sure that if anyone has interest in learning more about the Ambassador Program, where would they find that?
To find out more about the Student Ambassador Program, you can visit sos.ms.gov. And then we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and X as well. And so throughout the year, you actually see spotlight posts from all of our ambassadors. We take headshots of them at our summits and everything, and then we like to spotlight them throughout the year, give a little more information about them. And so obviously follow along on our socials, and then you'll see plenty of information about the Ambassador Program throughout the year. So
unfortunately, juniors this year are too late.
They are.
We've already selected the class, so it'll be juniors next year going into their senior year.
All right, juniors next year. Take
Class
note.
of 2028.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for listening or watching, depending on how you're viewing or listening. We really appreciate our guest today. And if you're watching and you're not living in Mississippi, I think you heard loud and clear. Don't sleep on our state.
That's right.
Keep an open mind. Y'all come on down. Good food, good dating pool. Stay tuned for another episode of Bigger Pie Forum podcast featuring brain drain conversations. Thanks.